Hello and welcome to the CUBE Palo Alto studio for a special presentation with VMware by Broadcom, delivering the modern private cloud with the launch of VCF 9. To help us dig in, we really are going to got some experts who are coming on here to help me unpack this all with Mark Chuang, who's the Senior Director of Product Marketing, and Himanshu Singh, who's the Director of Product Marketing from VMware Cloud Foundation Division at Broadcom. Welcome on board, guys.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I think the momentum that Broadcom has seen with VCF and VMware Cloud Foundation across the customers has really been noticeable and measurable. And I think there's some really good focus going on, especially in the stuff that you guys are here really trying to help customers better understand as part of their VCF journey. I think in particular, today we're going to be talking about VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA. That's really powering AI on VCF 9.
Yeah.
So, again, this has been a journey. I think, again, we've been talking about this, the Private AI and Private AI on VCF for over a year now. And I think it's just been really exciting to see what customers are doing. But AI has become super important these days. And every enterprise is really leaning into AI. How does VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA align with and enhance the strategic value of VCF and the broader portfolio? Why don't we start with you, Mark?
Yeah. With private AI, I think it's important just to even define what it is, right? Because we all know about the general umbrella of AI. We all know about Gen AI, unless we've been living under a rock. But private AI is all about, data privacy, regulatory compliance, controlling sensitive information, but then ultimately about controlling costs in this use case as well. And so with Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA that builds on top of VMware Cloud Foundation as that underlying platform, it's really about addressing this key use case and this key customer need for our customers.
Yeah, I think to me, that is the key, is that how the power of VMware by Broadcom and NVIDIA coming together as part of this. What have been some of the key milestones and achievements that you've seen for VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA since its announcement?
Yeah, it is a new offering, a joint offering from us, but it's actually built upon a decades-old strategic relationship, partnership that we've had with NVIDIA, right? Not just on the go-to-market side, but definitely like the deep, hard engineering work there. This joint AI platform was introduced. It's been in market for about a year, and we've just seen very robust demand and interest from our customers, right? Because at the end of the day, they're like, with all of the considerations around generative AI relative to privacy, performance, having choice in models, and being able to manage to compliance and cost, right? They need all of this when they're thinking about, how do I fine-tune my LLMs? How do I deploy retrieval augmented generation workflows? How do I run inference workloads, right? Across all of this, but with all of those key characteristics. So that's where that deep partnership has led to this joint AI platform. And we're seeing very strong pickup from customers.
Yeah, and it seems like there's been a lot of customers in that way that have really been picking up on it. I think the U.S. Senate Federal Credit Union is one of the ones that you guys have mentioned to me.
Yeah.
And another number of higher education institutions around the U.S. as well. And I think that to me is one of the keys. What are the unique? What is really unique about VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA?
Yeah, I think it first starts off with the fact that it's standing on the shoulders of just a long history of innovation that we've had, right? If you go back several decades, it really literally has been decades now, we helped to unlock the benefits of virtualization for enterprises, and now we're unlocking the benefits of AI for those exact same enterprises. You mentioned U.S. Senate Federal Credit Union, right? They're really adopted our solution because they wanted to figure out how to automate a lot of their banking processes, like loan processing, but at the same time, proactively identify like emerging needs of their customers, right? And in many cases, it was just kind of like the everyday transactions of it, right? And so other examples, you mentioned education, right? Because we do a lot of work with government agencies, and including those three-letter agencies,
yes.
right? Not surprisingly, regulatory with education, healthcare, and financial services. One in particular that comes to mind, right? A major higher education institute in the US, they were all about how do we improve the experience for our staff as well as our students. So with private AI, right, enabling virtual AI-enabled tutors, right, helping the staff with budgeting processes or analyzing benefits analysis, right? So just efficiency, cutting down the time to improve the complex analysis. And at the end of the day, right, that's a benefit for both students and staff. So seeing a lot of great results like that.
Yeah, I think again, it's, you know, with that base, and as you talked about with VMware Cloud Foundation, now really very robust, covers a lot of ground for organizations and their infrastructure. What are some of the key, most important things that people should note about this release and the Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA?
Yeah. So I'm going to kick off with a little bit high level, and Himanshu will go into more of the details here for sure. You know, but fundamentally, we want to enable organizations to be able to bring their AI models to where their data is, and then have the flexibility and choice to be able to choose different models depending upon what their future business needs may be. Okay, so that's what we're going to do at the end of the day. And so with this coming release, we really wanted to enhance key capabilities that are already there so that on one hand, the infrastructure provider can have simplified management of all of these private AI workflows. And then on the other hand, really streamline the way that the data scientists or the ML ops people can deploy these different models, right? So at a high level, some of the key things that we'll be delivering, you'll see things around like, how do we make sure that we load balance these AI applications so that they have access to all the infrastructure resources to run optimally? How do we enable them to ensure high uptime by doing things like move very large language models and, you know, vMotion, which VMware invented, do that, but with these giant language models, right? So that they don't have any downtime. We're going to continue enhancing areas like how do we deliver all of these operational benefits, but at near bare metal performance levels, right? Because if we do all of this, and with all the new stuff coming in 9.0, our analysis shows that we can deliver a total cost of ownership, you know, up to 90% lower than if you're running on public clouds, you know, up to almost 30% lower than even running on bare metal. So that's why we're so excited about what we've got coming out.
Yeah, and if I can add to what Mark said, well, when it comes to what's fundamentally driving us, whether it is this release or so far, right? It's been the idea of, one, unlocking all the value you have based on your current investments. Mark said, like, you know, it's been decades when we unlocked virtualization for CPUs. We're bringing all that value to GPUs, to all the accelerators that customers are using in their environments for the modern workloads that we have now. And so the idea is we optimize the experience, and we optimize the cost that you have to basically look at across your environment when it comes to AI workloads. So that's kind of the driving factor. Now, as we had these conversations with customers about what are you really looking for, because at the end of the day, our roadmap is all driven by what is the customer's need now and into the future, right? So 3 key personas basically bubbled up to the top for us to really focus on, hey, what do we really want to focus on for this release? First one is around your CXO level or a decision maker level persona, right? They're all about, hey, I want to make sure that my internal data, my intellectual property is safe, secure, any kind of sensitive information, et cetera, doesn't get leaked out. So that's number one. So we're making sure that we're delivering on privacy and security in the release, and I can talk more about that as well. The second key audience is, well, the audience that we've always talked to for a couple of decades, which is the infrastructure team, right? And we want to make sure that they're able to have a simplified infrastructure management experience. So that we're bringing in capabilities around that too. And the third key audience, which is kind of unique to AI workloads in this case, is the data scientist. And for the data scientists, we want to make sure that they're able to really streamline the deployment of their language models, right? Large language models, small language models, et cetera. So across these three different personas, if we can provide them what they really need, then the organization essentially is enabled to be able to be successful and unlock all the value of AI while making sure that you stay secure. Now, one thing I want to highlight, this thing came out of the Private Cloud report recently, and when we surveyed, I think it was more than 1,800 decision makers, one of the key stats that came out is when it comes to privacy and security, those decision makers, 92% plus of those, trust a private cloud environment for that, right? As opposed to something else. I don't want to go into that. But that just tells you, the focus that our customers, our enterprises have in the space, and we're, basically all gung-ho about delivering on that.
Yeah, and I think we see very similar in our research that a lot of organizations say that 85% of the data that they want to use in these models is actually on-prem. Mm-hmm. And is in these other applications and other ways that they need to be in other data formats and things of that nature. That has to be playing towards the privacy aspect of it as well as the infrastructure management, and because you want to make it simple. Everybody's looking for the easy button for AI and things of that nature. And again, I think talking to the personas is great, because data science, that's the people who are actually building it and using the data and things like that. Are you finding that those three pillars seem to be driving a lot of kind of the new features that are in this release?
Absolutely. In fact, as Mark said earlier, it's about kind of bringing that innovation, the simplification. What we want to do is we want to make sure that we are making AI as just another enterprise workload on VCF, right? We want to have consistent operations. We do not want to create new silos when it comes to AI. God knows there's enough complexity in IT already, and anything we can do to simplify it, I think customers appreciate that, right? So that's been a big, big focus for us. So let me give you a little bit more detail in terms of what's in this release specifically, right? When it comes to VMware Private AI Foundation with NVIDIA, with VCF 9.0. That just rolls off the tongue, right?
Yes, it's actually not that bad. I got to say, for long names, it actually does roll off the tongue.
Yeah, so. There you go. Yeah. So yeah, we're okay. So I talked about three kind of key personas and aligned to that. So the first one is all about kind of enabling privacy and security, right? So a couple of things that I want to highlight in that. The first one is a model gallery. Now the idea is, if you are, as a customer, if you're trying to access a particular language model, you want to build something on it, well, how do you make sure that it's a secure model? How do you make sure that it's been trained on data that is obtained in a legitimate way, right? So you want to make sure that you have this model gallery, which is making available like a catalog of curated, safe, secure models. So the end user has all the choice they need for their specific use cases, but you also have the right level of governance and control. You have the role-based access, et cetera. So that's what the model gallery does. It's actually built on Harbor at the back end. And so that, I think, is going to be super valuable. And when you talk to customers, they're like, yep, that's exactly what we need.
Yeah. And for just to put in there, I mean, for those who don't know, Harbor is actually one of the CNCF projects, and that's great to see that you guys are involved with that.
We keep continuing to invest in it, right? And this is one of the biggest assets we get back from our customers, because I think what they realize is that what's happening with AI right now, it feels a little bit like when Kubernetes and containers first came on the scene, maybe 5-8 years ago, and where everyone could just go out to Git, and you could just download some random code, and you could load it into your environment and just start running it. That's pretty scary, right? And so that's what's happening with these AI models and this code right now, right? You can go out there, literally download almost anything you want, And so the governance piece that we're delivering as part of the model gallery really helps to address this problem, because otherwise, there's just way too much exposure out there.
Yeah, well, I think, again, organizations are really looking at it from to your point on governance, they want to make sure that everybody's using the standard that's being out there. They want guardrails, not and guidelines from a governance perspective. But there's also the part, and I think you kind of talked about this a little bit, maybe we can go a little bit deeper, is around the infrastructure management and simplifying that. To me, that's one of the things that, to your point, when people look at the hyperscalers, they're either using a lot more GPUs than they know, or they're using them, but they're paying for them. They're not using them, and they have them on on a lease and things like that. How are you helping simplify that infrastructure management?
Yeah, there's a couple of things, and I'll get back to some of the security pieces because there's some very exciting stuff there as well. But just from the idea of simplifying infrastructure management when it comes to AI workloads, a couple of new things that we're excited about, right? And it's simple stuff, but it's extremely valuable on a day-to-day basis. One is around this concept of vGPU profile visibility. So previously, as an admin, you had to do a bunch of manual work to really figure out, for this GPU, what are the vGPUs, how do I track it? Now we have a simple interface in vCenter where you can see all of that very easily, right? So just from a productivity perspective, it just simplifies that. On top of that, what we've also done is we've brought in something called enhanced GPU observability. So now you're able to see GPU resource utilization, the GPU temperature, because GPUs will run hot and you want them to run hot, but not too hot, along with a variety of host level metrics, et cetera, right? So it's all right there in one screen across your entire GPU footprint in your environment. And that just gives the infrastructure team, the admin team, a lot of value in being able to just get things done, have easy level of control and visibility across. It just gives them a lot of peace of mind to just manage it just like they do the rest of their environment.
Yeah, so I think we touched on kind of a couple different personas in those last two, but I think one of the things you brought up was really the model deployment and basically helping people streamline that. How is this release really helping organizations with that?
Yeah, so I talked about the data scientist persona, and you can think in terms of app developers, MLOps engineers, and in the same kind of category as well. So there's a few things that they're looking for, and which is, at the end of the day, they want to have faster time to value. They want to get to market faster, right, essentially. And so there's a few things we're doing there. So one is around just providing this model runtime overall. So set of capabilities that you really need to be able to create, deploy your model endpoints, and just be successful in terms of getting to value faster. There's things like we have a data indexing and retrieval service that's come online, which basically helps with chunking and vectorizing of data. So you can take all those internal data sources and then make that data available, whether you're doing fine-tuning as a use case, or you're doing RAG or retrieval augmented generation in this case. That just simplifies some of these things. Another big one right now, which is I think is like the hot trend in AI right now, is agentic AI. Right, that's the big word for 2025.
Absolutely.
And so, in order for customers to be able to build and deploy these AI agents, they're essentially trying to enhance their generative AI workloads. Right, whether it is for any specific creative task or a functional task, or enhancing the automation, for a particular workload. So what we have is we have the framework, we have the guidance available to them as part of this, agent builder service, and you can leverage all the runtime capabilities and the services I talked about to be able to really build AI agents faster, right? And you can deploy that faster, and you can enhance your kind of AI workloads overall. One other one that comes to mind, and we've got such a massive list that I'm struggling to contain myself right now. There's just so many good stuff in this release.
It's
right?
a lot.
Yeah, which is the one I'm going to call out is the API gateway, right? So again, specifically to the data scientist audience, right? And it's really a problem it solves in their lives. So think of this, right? You got this API gateway that gives you a nice, secure, stable interface to connect to your model endpoints, which basically means that you don't have to worry about unauthorized access and all that. Your access control is secured. On top of that, what you're also getting is the ability to now, for the API gateway, to manage the APIs at the other end. So even if a language model that you're using evolves, the APIs change, it doesn't break any integrations that you've built in, right? So you've got seamless integration. and you've got consistent performance from your workloads, and that just like, makes it easier for the data scientists, and it's less worry from them on an ongoing basis. So again, just a few highlights, but super excited about the release. There's if we have time, I do want to call out a couple of things which are actually huge on a slightly different space, and that's on the security side of things.
So I think you're going where I want you to go, which is,
love it.
I think one of the things, because Mark brought up, three-letter acronym, places and things like that, and a lot of times they're looking to be air-gapped and other things. I would assume that this really leads into that as well.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to call out, right? So government, obviously, any kind of organization that has sensitive data.
Or even sovereign clouds.
Sovereign cloud as well, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's very important. So we're introducing support for air-gapped environments now with this release. So that's a huge ask from our customers, for sure. And so we're really excited to bring that to market. And the other one you talked about from a sovereign cloud or even a CSP provider perspective is around multi-tenancy. So we're now able to support multi-tenancy for private AI workloads. So that you can think of like, well, of course, you've got the CSPs who can now be able to offer GPU as a service to their customers. But even within an enterprise, you can actually now deploy and kind of divvy things up based on different teams, different organizations, have that kind of role-based access and manage multi-tenancy internally that way. And that gives a lot of control and cost access and all that stuff within organizations. So like we're seeing so much demand for this capability across the board. So we're excited to bring that to market.
Because with that multi-tenancy in there, you're now able to take this super powerful but very expensive resource in your data center, these GPUs, right? Maximize your utilization because you want to squeeze all the work you can out of it. But now seamlessly and pretty transparently for the data scientists and the end users, right? Make sure you wrap it in the policies so that it's not just kind of a free-for-all out there, right? And so all of the things that Himanshu described, it's really been talking and understanding what are the biggest pain points that our customers have. Some of them literally require like computer science, rocket science type of stuff, and others are just like solving core problems that they have. Like with that data retrieval and indexing service, right? That was just to solve the problem of, I've got to keep this vector database up to date, even as its data sources are constantly changing and evolving. So how do we make that just easier for people, right? So really been a great journey since this is still so early on for a lot of enterprises and just trying to address all of these major pain points for them.
Yeah, I'm glad you set me up for my final question, which was for those folks that are watching us today, where should they go to really, learn more as they start their private AI journey?
Yeah. I would say the easiest thing to do is go to vmware.com/AIML-NVIDIA. That's where we'll get started. You start learning about what we're offering. There's a ton of resources. Depending on what you're looking for high-level information, you're looking for deep dive content, you really want to compare us against somebody else, it's all in there. Just go to vmware.com/AIML-NVIDIA and you'll have access. That's the best place to start.
I also know there's another one. There's cloud infrastructure private AI/private AI Foundation NVIDIA as well. So I learned that earlier today, so I figure I'll throw that out.
You're ahead of me.
Well, no, I mean you gotta do. I gotta do my research too. But, be a good host here. But
we all cross-link from each other. We make sure we point them back and forth.
Absolutely. Well, hey, thanks, Mark and Himanshu. Thank you for coming on board. This has been great. I could sit here and talk all day about this. I love AI and private AI. So
very exciting field. Thank you for having us.
And congratulations on the launch. This
Thank you.
Huge. I know it's been, a bit of time coming. So it's, these big things take a bit. So congratulations.
We're very excited about it.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching this episode of theCUBE from the Palo Alto studios, a special presentation of VMware by Broadcom, delivering modern private cloud with the launch of VCF 9. See you soon.